I feel like I'm always a student. There's this odd thing. The more I learn, the less I feel like I know, because I'm tapping into so much information, and I know that I'm kind of at the tip of the iceberg. So I feel, for me, I'm always in this state of learning. I feel like I'm just one big walking sponge. And I think it's interesting as a woman, especially in my particular case, being a woman in a male-dominated space, the film industry. I think every different meeting, every day, every scenario is a different opportunity to just be the best person you can be, regardless of whether you're meeting with a male or a female, whether you're that we should put gender aside and we have to focus on being the best person that we can be. And just to really focus on being you, that's the challenge, really. It's not about being a strong woman. It's not, because we are strong women. We were born that way. That's why we give birth. We already have that down. It's about having that belief in ourselves and that confidence. I think women, honestly, we're the biggest problem. It's not men who are keeping us down. It's that we believe that they're keeping us down. We give up that power, so we just have to own it every day. It's not over there. It's already here. I only feel support from people, especially my friends and family. They're my biggest cheerleaders. Where I run into a little less support is when I'm out there meeting with my colleagues and competitors, and we're all like in the green room before we go out on a panel. And of course it's me with a room full of mostly actually all white men, and I end up talking to the woman who's putting up the coffee for us, because they're too busy, like the good old boys club, talking. I'm so used to it, it doesn't bother me. I get introduced to them and they're like, oh, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. And then they just naturally fall back into talking about sports or whatever it is that they were talking about. So that's probably the only place where I feel a little bit of less support. Otherwise, it's probably in my family that they're the ones that, suffer's not the right word, but they're the ones who don't get my attention as much. Being the CEO of a company, having to work so hard, but I don't know that that's because, it has nothing to do with being a woman. It's being in that role. It's a really tough role. It's a really lonely role. And I think my family's the one that sees and feels that loneliness the most. Being a CEO of a company, you have all this passion and confidence and drive. And yes, you are growing on certain levels most of the time. But then you also have issues. You have to make payroll. You've got accounts receivables that didn't come in. You've got all sorts of things that crop up, a deal that didn't pan out. So it's, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, 1 step back, 4 steps forward, 1 step back. So it's this constant, path. And I think that when you take those steps back, you don't go around talking about them in public, because then people say, oh, they judge very quickly. We had a family tragedy in April and lost one of our children, and that was devastating. And my first thought when I kind of stepped back into the real world was, who's going to invest in me? They're going to think that I can't handle it, that I'm going to fall apart. And in fact, I'm stronger than ever. I'm more focused than ever. I realize how fast life goes. So I'm all in, more than I've ever been. And I didn't think that that was possible. I am a big sharer. I share a lot. I believe in transparency. I like knowing that I can talk about anything I want, and the people who are still standing by me are the ones I'm supposed to be with, and the ones that say, like, I can't handle this kind of honesty or transparency, or it's too much for me, we'll step back. And that's, so it's a great vetting process, but it is scary. Like I say that, it's harder for me to live it. But when I do, the rewards are amazing. I think it should be that way. And I think it takes practice, because we grow up, we spend our lives trying to blend in and fit in, and we hold back some of the feelings we have, and we hide them, and we don't address them because we don't want to look like we're high maintenance, or, even on the level of, like, say, anxiety, or people will say, gosh, you just get up on that stage and you don't ever have anxiety. It's like, actually, sometimes I can't even remember my own name. Who knows why? That particular day, I was having some sort of like nervous thing. And other days, even a bigger crowd, I feel nothing. I'm totally fine. I can go out there and do what I need to do. So I think it's important to pay attention to ourselves. And when we do feel afraid, to remind ourselves it's okay to talk about it. And you know what? If the people you're wanting to do business with or partner with or whatever say, ooh, you're too fragile or I can't do this, then I guess that's a great way to weed them out. I get asked to speak a lot, and I don't feel like I'm an expert in anything. I do. I spent a long time, and I still have times where I'm afraid, and that is 100% ego. Fear is ego. And when you're operating, with that other aspect of self, some people call it higher self, the inner voice, whatever it is. I like to think of it as, some people call it God, some people, whatever. When I'm operating from what I call my gut, it's always my gut. That's when I'm most comfortable. That's when I'm the most teachable. That's when I make the most progress effortlessly, is when I can put the fear down. Ego is it's the biggest waste of time. And we get so caught up in it. How we look, what we drive, who we're dating, where we live, all those things on the outside that we put so much energy into that we don't give enough attention to what's inside that radar. So I go up on these stages and I stand there and I don't feel like I have anything worthy to say that is going to keep someone's interest for almost an hour. So I always just go up there and, once you step on the stage, you just have to do your thing. And so I just tell my story. And I'm not trying to impress anyone. I just tell the story. And I will say that after, people line up in droves just to give a hug or to talk. And I'm not any more special or important or have done anything that they haven't or about to do. But I think what we like is to be able to have that human connection, that validation that we are all afraid. We are all, excited. We are all, we're all in this together. And honestly, I think we are here on this planet to be there for each other. I mean, I sit in meetings, and when I'm kind of operating with my IndieFlix Foundation hat, I tell them, I say, we support movies that we believe can change the world, because I think we really can. And I think film is the most powerful medium on the planet. And our rule is to support films that I think can change the world within 1 minute of viewing them. The goal is to get millions of people to see them. And then they will have this awareness, this openness, this connectedness. And I think that it shifts the energy, it shifts our focus. The world sort of starts to vibrate at a different level and frequency, and that gets a little woo-woo, but I believe this. And I think we can create true change and peace and harmony and have a lot less of the stuff we've got going on now. But it starts here, right here. Each one of us has to recognize when we're being fearful that that's ego. Put it in a suitcase, throw it out the window, whatever your visual is that you do with that. When you see fear, you're that's my ego. That's not me. That's all of this stuff that's always coming in through the TV and the radio and the magazines or whatever it is. And you just have to lock it up, throw it away, and keep going. And be okay with all of the things you're feeling. Just that you're good and you're on your way.